OXO Chef in Residence Rick Martinez, and I am here to share with you some of my tips and tricks for weeknight dinners that are quick and simple and delicious. This is a Fideo con Pollo. It's easily riffable. You can use whatever you have in the house. It's gonna be really, really delicious. You're gonna love it. What it is, Fideo is a really small pasta that's broken. If you don't have Fideo or can't find it, you can actually just take either angel hair or a thinner spaghetti and just break it into little pieces. I'm gonna create a really, really flavorful base. The pasta is gonna absorb all of that delicious flavor. And so you'll get basically no sauce, but all the flavor will be locked inside the pasta. A lot of people like to toast their pasta. And what it does is it actually creates a very nutty, really delicious, and slightly different flavor. So you wanna keep it moving constantly, and that'll prevent it from sticking to the bottom. This dish is something that I grew up with. My mom actually made it. It was sort of like our starchy side, which I really, really loved. So I have very positive memories with this dish. All right, so I've got about another 60 seconds to 90 seconds for this, so I have just enough time to grab the chicken. I'm using chicken thighs, because that's what I like. But use whatever you like. And you may think that this is like really, really super dark, but actually it'll lighten up once it's cooked. And I think that's gonna be it. So I will just put that in. While that cools off and just hangs out there, I'm going to season my chicken. So I'm gonna grab my pepper and salt. I'm gonna season really well on both sides, and I will transfer it off the board. And then you wanna do this a little bit in advance. I would say at least 10 minutes out before you are ready to cook, so that you give the chicken a chance to absorb all of these delicious flavors. All right, and so now I'm gonna start the vegetables. The first thing I'm gonna start with is the onion. This is probably gonna be about 1/4 of an inch dice. Scrape this into my sheet tray. Next, we will do the poblano. What I'm gonna do is cut this in half and then just flatten it out, and then you can just make cross cuts like that. And I want these to be about the same size as the onion. I just love putting chopped vegetables in the sheet tray. I think they look so beautiful. Now, for the serrano. I actually like varying the shapes a little bit, so in this case, I'm gonna just do little half moons. I think that's another thing about cooking is that we eat with our eyes, we eat with all of our senses, so smell, sound, taste, it's all important. Now we're gonna work on the tomatoes. Into the sheet tray they go. So for garlic, what I like to do is just hold them sort of lengthwise towards you and just go through and slice as thin as you can and then make a cross cut. That is all the veg prepped. So now what I'm gonna do is work on my spices. I find that buying whole spices gives you better flavor. And one thing that I love are these OXO pop containers. They keep my spices really, really fresh. I'm going to grind them up, and you can use a spice grinder for that, or you can use a mortar and pestle, and this happens to be a Mexican mortar and pestle called a molcajete. My grandfather gave me this with a bag of white rice and said, here, you need to grind this. And I was like, wait, what? You've got to season it because the inside was basically as rough and porous as the outside. And so I sat there for like 3 days, like grinding this giant bag of rice. But now the inside is really, really super smooth. I'm going to grab my measuring spoons. I love these because they're separate and also they have the little rubber handles. Use what you like. I like cumin and I like coriander. What I'm gonna do is use 1/4 teaspoon of cumin and 1/2 teaspoon of coriander. For the mortar and pestle, you basically just want to grind this into the rock. And I'm just gonna put this in my little glass OXO mise bowl. And now we're ready to cook the chicken. So I'm putting my oil in here and then just add exactly what I need. And then it's right there for when I need it again. While that is getting hot, I'm going to get my chicken, which it's really nice to have this sit out at room temp. I wouldn't let it go for more than maybe an hour. So I'm gonna let the oil heat up until I see little wisps of smoke. That's my signal that the oil is ready to take the chicken. The oil pools around the edges in this particular skillet, and so I just wanna make sure that everything is well coated. And I'm gonna lay the chicken down with my beautiful OXO tongs. But I'm gonna start it skin side down. That is exactly the sound that you want to hear. If I put them too close together, they're gonna actually steam and not sear. And what I want is a really nice crispy skin. By putting the skin down first, I'm actually gonna melt that fat. That fat has a lot of flavor, and that's the fat that I'm gonna use to cook the vegetables in. When it gets golden brown, it will release itself from the pan, and that's when you know it's ready to flip. It has been about 5 minutes, and now you can see they're like moving. About a minute ago, they were still stuck to the pan, and that is exactly what you want. Just beautiful golden brown. We're giving it a really good sear to develop the caramel flavors in the chicken, to render some of the fat, and also to partially cook the chicken so that it will cook in 20 minutes, and it will be perfectly cooked by the time all the liquid has been absorbed by the pasta. These are looking really good, so I'm going to clear the decks, and then we will continue cooking the veg. It's another reason why I really like this dish, because it's just like one skillet, pull one thing in, put the other thing next, and then just keep going. I'm gonna cook the tomatoes in the next step. So for this part, we're just gonna put the poblanos, the serranos, the onions, and the garlic. I'm also going to add my ground cumin and coriander, some salt and pepper. Another reason why we season at this stage is because the salt pulls out all of the moisture from the vegetables. And so it's gonna release all the liquids, that'll evaporate, and once it evaporates, we're gonna be left with concentrated flavor. And all that sugar is gonna start to caramelize, and we'll start to get a little bit more sweetness out of the veg. My veg are almost done, so I'm gonna get my chicken stock ready. So I need 2.5 cups of chicken stock. Now I'm gonna add my tomato. We're gonna add our stock, or water, or whatever you like. And we're just gonna bring that to a boil. And as soon as that boils, I will add the chicken and the fideo. So I'm gonna put this in first and give it a little stir. We just wanna nestle the chicken in. And we're gonna cover this and let that simmer. I'm gonna reduce it to a low. Set a timer for 15 minutes. I'm gonna clean up a little more, and we're gonna work on the garnishes. This is all the fresh stuff. We've got like all of our cooked veg in there. We've got like a pop of acid. We have a pop of like creamy queso fresco, and then a little bit of fresh cilantro. And that's gonna pair really well with the coriander seed that we used. My queso fresco, I am just going to crumble it directly back into this little bowl. And last but not least, cilantro. You want a little pop of color and a little pop of freshness. And boom, all of our garnishes are done. This is what it looks like. Oh, it looks so good. It actually looks like a little party in a skillet. That looks really, really good. And you can see all of the liquid is gone. It looks so amazingly delicious. I'm gonna garnish this. A little bit of queso fresco, a little bit of cilantro, a nice big squeeze of lime. And this is my quick and easy fideo con pollo.